you've ever like wanted to just totally mouth off to like a politician or something, this is fun. This is a fun one to play as. Hello, artists, art lovers, everyone. Welcome to the first in what promises to be a very long, nerdy series of videos, because I am going to be sitting here on my couch, I will be drawing, and talking about my favorite video game, Dragon Age Origins. And it's a huge game, there's a lot to say, so I'm not going to put it all in one video, because I'm certain that you don't want to listen to me talk about Dragon Age Origins for hours. At least not all at once, not all in one video. I will be working on this drawing that you saw from the last video, so I've made some more progress since then, added some more like shading or whatever. I'm gonna work on that today whilst I focus the camera and talk to you about, like I said, my favorite game. So I'll just start by briefly talking about why this is my favorite game. You've got your like overarching like supernatural evil that's threatening the kingdom, and then you have your more standard like political evil, this guy who wants to be king and he's trying to ruin your life so that he can be king. You know, just regular stuff. But what I really like is how wide a range of choices you have, and scoot a little closer, like how much effect those choices have. Like, you know, some games say like, oh, you have all these choices, and like really you kind of only have like two, or it's like the outcome is kind of the same no matter what you choose. Dragon Age Origins is not like that. You can be like the nicest, like the purest, like the coolest, most heroic person ever, or you can be like this totally garbage, like you can just be bad, like, and you're still the hero of the game, and I think that's so cool. I'm not even drawing, I need to draw. It's really great. So I'm just gonna jump right in, and I'm gonna start with the main character, the hero that you play as, and like, what's a game if you don't like the hero? It's kind of cool in this game, like since the character you play as doesn't speak, you get to just kind of hear it in your internal monologue, and you get to feel like the option you picked is what they said. I feel like that's how it should be. The whole vibe I get from the hero, it's a warden, like they're inducted into this order called the Grey Wardens, and they have to like, they're the only ones who can like defeat the evil. What I like about the warden is that they're at least the way I play them, but I feel like no matter what, like they're very cynical, like they're really like a dry humor. I definitely get introvert vibes. It's very relatable. If you've played the game, you know that there's different options for like the character you can choose, like most video games. So your choices are like human, elf, dwarf, and then you can be a warrior, a rogue, or a mage, and then like the race that you pick can affect the options that you have. So like you can't be a dwarven mage because for some reason we all know that dwarves can't do magic. Like somehow we just all know that. I've played almost all of the different like origin options, so I'm just gonna like talk about my thoughts on those, and you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree. Okay, so the first option, human noble, and your name is Colin. And what I like about this origin is that it doesn't really seem to matter what gender you are. Like your situation doesn't really change. You're just a rich human who's got it made. And then this guy, Arl Howe, this jerk, he comes in, he wants your dad's title, and he betrays you. He like burns down your house. He like kills your whole family. He kills your friends that were staying the night. And spicy bonus that I didn't know about, your character that you play as can like flirt with the friends, and you can like, you know, you can like start a little flirtation, like a little relationship there, which adds to the drama when Arl Howe's men kill them. So it's kind of tragic. Like, it's a cool backstory. I think it's one of the most dynamic like arcs in the game, because Arl Howe, the guy that like betrays you. He ends up becoming like one of the main villains in the game, and if you played this origin, you have that like backstory with him, and it's that much more satisfying when you get to kill him. Whereas like if you play one of the other ones, you have no idea who he is, and you're like, why is this guy so aggro all the time? So that's cool. The one kind of like drawback of, or not drawback, but I think like the weakness of this origin versus other ones is that it's like you're kind of just starting from like a kind of boring place. Like, yeah, like your story is tragic in that you were like really rich and then your whole house burns down and your whole family died and now you're like really angry, but it's also just kind of, I feel like compared to some of the other stories, I mean, you're just like a rich person. Like that's not, maybe that's just not relatable to me, but I feel like the other ones, like your life before you join the Wardens is more interesting than that, than just being like some rich person. So that brings me to the Circle Mage, which is another human. This is like if you're a human and a mage. Oh yeah, because you can't be a rich human mage because mages are discriminated against because they're cursed with magic. Like, oh my gosh, it's a sin. So if you're a human mage, I've only played this one once because I wasn't that interested in it. I felt like it didn't seem that interesting. But it was cool playing that origin because it's, you know, it's different. You get to explore like the circle, which is like where the mages are kept like prisoner. It's like a nice prison. Like if you've read the 5th season and you know how like the origins are kept in this like school and they can't really leave unless they're trusted that they can master their powers. It's similar to that. It's like, oh, you can't leave, but there's lots of books and we'll teach you how to master your powers, but we'll also kind of teach you to hate yourself for having them. So that's interesting. There's a non-playing character named Colin that people started standing for some reason. If you're a girl, he has a crush on you. He's like one of the guards and people think that's cute. I just kind of find it annoying. And if you've played Dragon Age 2, the main character Hawk in Dragon Age 2 is cousins with the Circle Mage. So if you play the Circle Mage as a warden, you're basically creating this like super powerful, awesome family, which I think is cool. Quick update, here I am. I've got like some deets on the face and I'm doing some hair. Probably gonna do a lot of hair. All right, let me get back into my drawing position. So the next origin option that you have is City Elf. The last name, they call this one Tabris. You never really like hear your name in these games. This one is one of my favorite origins actually. Like I thought it was really fun to play, but some people think it's a little problematic. If you're a girl, you're like about to get married, you're an elf, and also elves are discriminated against. And that's very realistic. Like, you know, humans were here in this time in the real world, humans are racist, and if there were elves and dwarves to hate instead, that's absolutely what we would hone in on. So that's what's happening here. Like the elves are kind of like they're poor and no one likes them and they all have to live in an alienage and they just make the best of it. So if you're an elf girl, if you're an elf at all, a city elf, you're getting married. If you're a girl, you get kidnapped by this awful rich guy and he tries to attack you and ruin your life. And if you're a guy, the rich guy steals your bride and tries to like ruin her life. So yeah, it's pretty like rough. It's like, I imagine that if you've had any kind of traumatizing experience like that, like you wouldn't enjoy that origin. And I feel like they probably could have considered that a little bit more, but I thought, like, when I played it before, like, thinking about things like that, I did think it was fun to do, but it's very tense. Like, you get to go on a rampage. Who doesn't like a rampage in a video game? Because you're a city elf, like, throughout the whole game, since you're like a lower, like, you're considered, like, you're discriminated against, you're considered lower class, blah, blah, blah. you get to just like say, you have more dialogue options where you can be sassy and like make fun of humans, which is fun to do. And at one point, you meet like the king, the human king, and you can be really disrespectful and nothing really happens to you. It's pretty fun. Like, so if you've ever like wanted to just totally mouth off to like a politician or something, this is fun. This is a fun one to play as. Then there's Mahariel. I don't know how to say that one. That's the Dalish elf. So actually the strongest warden, the strongest hero character that I ever played as was this Dalish elf. The Dalish, like, they've chosen not to live in the city with humans because who would want to live with humans? So they live in the woods and they like travel. They're like a nomad people. And my most powerful character when I played as this origin, she was a rogue. I named her after Videl Satan from Dragon Ball Z, and she was just incredibly badass. Like, I made her an expert at potions, I made her an expert at bombs. She had 2 daggers and she could like spin around and like cut stuff. Like, she was really cool. I kind of thought, like, because this was maybe my 3rd playthrough that I played as this character, so I thought I would be starting out. There's a Dalish group that you meet, and their keeper's name is Zathrian, and they become like a big part of the game. And so I thought that playing as the Dalish elf, I would be in that group and I would get more tea on like their whole thing. But you don't start out in his group, you start out in a totally different group that you don't meet until Dragon Age 2. So that was kind of interesting. Like, if you've played Dragon Age 2, like I did before playing this origin, you know some of the characters already and you get to see their backstory, and that's kind of neat. But I don't know. I think the Dalish are kind of annoying, and I think they're kind of dumb. I mean, they live in the woods. I guess that would be fun. Maybe it would be fun. Maybe I'm dumb, but I don't know, I just think they're annoying. Backstory wasn't my favorite, but the actual character, I ended up liking her the best. Yeah, I wrote, I don't know, man, I don't like the Dalish, but this origin was neat. Let me try to do the nose while I talk about this. So the next origin that you can do is, that I have written down, you don't have to do them in this order, I just wrote them in this order, is the Dwarven noble. I'm talking slow because I'm doing the nose. And if you mess up the nose, it's just over. I think the Dwarven origins might actually be my favorite. Their backstories, I think, are the most rich and the most exciting. So if you're a dwarf noble, your name is Idugan. There's just so much drama. So the dwarves live underground in this kingdom called Orzammar. And they have their own king. They have all their own stuff. They're just like totally independent, and they have their own class system that's totally different. It's a caste system, and it depends on, like, the caste that you're in depends on your same-sex parent. So if your dad was casteless, like homeless poor person, and your mom was like noble class, but you're a boy, guess what? You're a homeless trash person too. Like, you're also casteless and no one likes you. But if you're a girl, everyone gets to be rich now. It's just like, what? That's a terrible system, but they do it. And so if you're the noble, you're like the son of the king, and you have these 2 brothers, and one of them is like heir to the throne, and he's kind of dumb, and the other one is the youngest, and he's like super cunning, and I think his Myers-Briggs might have been like ENTP or something. I have to look it up, but it's very devious. But I also really like him, and I feel like he does make a better king. So like, you get to find out like all the drama about, like, did your younger brother kill your dad? Like, what happened there? You get framed for the murder and you're cast out. You have to go live above ground with the humans now. Gross. And that's how you become a warden. Like, that's a really cool story. And then you get to go back to Orzammar, and it makes it all the more interesting because you go to Orzammar no matter what. I'm talking a lot. But if you're playing as the dwarf noble, it's like way more dramatic that you get to go back and get to like solve the mystery of what happened. And you get to decide who's going to be king. Is it going to be your scheming little brother or what? Or is it going to be this old guy? I kind of feel like the Dwarven noble, like of all the origins, he kind of has like the worst story because he falls from grace and he's completely cast out. Like, he has to go live in a totally different world. Like, he used to live in an underground castle and now he has to like live outside above ground. Like, that sucks. And he doesn't get to be rich. Like, that sucks. That's hard. And oh yeah, and his like dad died. That's rough. Okay, and then the last one that you can be is Braska, and that's the Dwarven commoner. So if you're this one, you're like the castless. You're castless, so it's the total opposite. You like, nobody likes you, you're like not considered a person. You have to like, you're like a criminal because what else are you gonna do if people don't think you're a person? Yeah, so like I played it as a guy. I don't think I played it as a girl. So when I was the guy, it was like, I'm castless, my sister is also castless, duh, but she's like really pretty, and Balin, the one I just talked about, the like scheming youngest son of the king, he like falls in love with her, and she's like your ticket out, but then you get framed for some sort of crime or something and you get kicked out of Orzammar, but it's not that bad because you're castless, like you had no life anyway. It's actually kind of better. So yeah, I need to play this one again because there's like a lot more to it than that, but I'm not remembering it very well. So the origin that I've played the most is probably Human Noble because I think I played it twice, and then all the other ones I've played like one time. But yeah, I think as far as like interesting backstories go, I think the Dwarven ones are the most interesting. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Like, if you've played the game, which one was your favorite? And if you haven't played the game, I'm so impressed that you sat here and like, which one sounds the most interesting to you? So here's where I am. I'm nowhere near finished, but I did make some good progress on the hair.